So you're going to stay stuck in 2023 and 2022 and 2011 if you keep seeking closure. Closure is not something that you need in order to heal. You do not need closure to heal. Now you could say, hey, I need accountability if somebody wants to be in my presence, but you do not need it to heal. And you got to get that into your head now before you get into 2024 and you start bringing all this old baggage in. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Check it out. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It is your girl, Lori. We are at the end of 2023. Happy New Year. This comes out on New Year's Eve. A lot of you will not listen to it on New Year's Eve. So Happy New Year in whatever day, month, year, location that you are listening to this in. And I'm excited because we're going to do a lot more different things. Well, not a lot more different things. First of all, it's terrible grammar, but we're going to do some things so what I'm doing is over on my YouTube, I'm going to create a theme per each month. And then there's going to be 3 videos a week that is going to complement the theme of the month. And there's going to be different ones. So there's going to be like 12 episodes, sometimes 15 if there's a 5-week month. But then the podcast is going to jump kind of onto that too to kind of wrap it in. It's just going to be kind of like another in-depth one, and we're going to like go into it. And then over on the Patreon, you're still going to get your worksheets. You're still going to get guidance. And that's really important because you can go to therapy. You can listen to all these tools. You can listen to the podcast, YouTube. But then you're like, well, where do I start? So that's why the Patreon is good because it's going to give you just a starting point. It's not going to give you all the answers. It gives you a starting point so you know what to do. If that is your jam, consider joining me over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Lori. Well, no, it's not Lori Wheeler. /the Positivity Experience. So it's patreon.com/the Positivity Experience. Or you can get it anywhere that you're getting this podcast right now. If there's a clickable link, or you can just copy it and paste it. So I cannot wait to talk to you about this. So this idea of closure is always rooted in your ego, your insecurity, your low self-esteem. Okay? That's where it comes from. And I'm not saying that it's not understandable. I mean, of course it's understandable, right? Because you're like, okay, well, I don't know how to process my emotions. I have no emotional regulation. I feel like I need the answers. Remember this good. Insecurity is loud. Confidence is quiet. I'm not asking you not to say, you don't have to walk around being like, I'm confident. What I mean by that is insecurity would be like, and insecurity can go into like victimization of self, like victim for yourself, where it's like, man, but I was never taught this, man. I grew up in a crappy household. Okay. We know this. Reason, not excuse. So, and I get it because I lived it. I lived in that sort of victim space. But my point to that is the closure that you think that you will get, you'll never get. And you're not really looking for closure. Let me be clear on what you're looking for. You're looking for it, to make sense. So your ego needs it to make sense. When you walk hand in hand with your ego's like, whatever. It literally is it is what it is. That's why dialectical behavioral therapy is my most favorite thing on the planet. Okay, I don't need it. I don't need your acknowledgement for me to heal. Now, you can say to yourself, all right, I'm not just going to let people just come in and go and do whatever they want. Cool. But you also don't need to get emotional about it. Like, feel your emotions, but you don't need to respond from emotion. So that's the biggest thing. Everybody wants to react. That's not even a response. React from emotion. But what you don't realize is the more you are waiting for closure, a reason, a validation of external people, you are once again giving these people power over you, right? You're basically saying, I can't move on unless this person acknowledges it or gives me a reason for why. And I'm going to tell you, be very careful what you ask for, because first of all, I always say no is a complete sentence. Number 1. Number 2, people do things for whatever reason. All right. If in fact, let's say somebody was going to be super, okay, you were like, I really need this closure. Okay. And this person was like, okay. And this person said, you know what? I stepped out on the relationship because I was kind of bored with you. You complain a lot. You're very negative. You're living in the past. You keep telling me about all your trauma. And I just kind of got tired of it. And that's why we're not working out. Are you then going to be like, oh, good. Okay, now I understand it. Because I was wondering, Oh, no, you're not. Oh my God. Now you're going to be like, oh, I can't believe that you're using my trauma against me. No, you asked for the why. This is why you do not need closure, because even if they said, you know what, it's not, let's say it wasn't that scenario. Let's say it was like, it's all me. I'm just going through some depression and I just need to work on my stuff. Let's say it's not even that, the first drama, but we will talk about that. And now are you going to go into savior mode? Are you going to be like, well, I mean, I could wait. Now that's attachment. That's not even savior. Well, I mean, I just want, like I'm here, like you can just take why are we doing this? Stop negotiating if somebody doesn't want to be in your life. Okay. Stop it. If someone doesn't want to be there. Now, could it be you? Could some of it be you? Did you lie? Did you not tell? Did you omit information? Did you live in a victim space? Were you passive aggressive? There's a lot. It's not about blame. It's about saying, okay, this person may not work for you. By the way, it's not always them. That's the exiter. Sometimes it's you. And of course, your ego is much happier when you're the one that leaves. See, the thing is when you're not secure with yourself, you're insecure, right? And then everything becomes personal. Oh, well, they went out with their friends. I don't know why they didn't invite me, because you don't have to be invited, and then your ego doesn't get bruised. But what happens is you don't want to come into 2024 or 2029 or 2015 back in the day, bringing the idea of what you want from somebody to apologize, for somebody to tell you their why. All you're doing is you're staying stuck. You're not coming into 2024 at all. Now, because we keep moving in the world, you're physically there. You're not going to get those goals. You're not going to feel happy. And you do not need that closure, because it'll never be how you want it. And so, like I said, now if we go back to that first example, right? If somebody was like, well, you complained too much, you did all of this. You just said all you needed was the closure. You literally just said, I really just need the why. They gave you the why. You didn't like the why. Now you're mad. Now you're trying to negotiate. Yeah. Closure happened the moment that relationship ended. The moment that situation ended, it was done. That's closure. It's not the closure you want. So we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can start releasing the need to have that. And before we even get there, I'm going to tell you now, it's always going to come back to you. You have so much more power than you even know. Period. You have the power. You let people live in your head. You're waiting for the invite. You're waiting for the closure. You're waiting for the explanation. Well, they may not give it to you. And it may actually have nothing to do with you. Sometimes people are just like, I'm not really happy with myself. And if they're not happy with themselves, good, get out of it. And if you're not happy with yourself, you need to get out of it. I don't care if the relationship's going good, because you might think it's going good, but is there a level of codependency there? Is there a level of situationship happening there? So number 1 is the acceptance of your self-healing. Okay. So a lot of you know, I'm very intuitive. I've talked to dead people for over all my life, 52, almost 53 years. I do it as a big, huge part of the other side of my profession. And one thing that you have to remember is that you have intuition. And sometimes you let and like everybody has an ability of some sort, but you let the voices of other people, you let all of this come into play. So in the meantime, what you're doing is, instead of following what it is that you feel, that you are instinctively being pulled towards, a lot of times you just go, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And the low tolerance of uncertainty is going to totally screw you. Low tolerance of uncertainty means you definitely need some level of closure and guarantee that things are going to be okay. No, you don't need that. So when we're talking about closure, one big thing is to accept that this is your job, and your job only, to heal yourself. Not for anybody to feel sorry for you, not for anybody to coddle you. I'm not saying you have to do this on your own. I mean, that's my profession. That's other people's profession. That's a support system. It just doesn't need to be you don't need to just dump on your close friends and family. You don't, and even in therapy, even in coaching, even in listening to podcasts, YouTubes, doing your journals, doing your meditations, drinking your water, great, cool and fine, but it's not fast. And the moment you're not consistent, and in the beginning, you're not going to be consistent, right? Because you're still learning the pattern. But let's not say, well, I don't know how to do this 6 years later. It's a problem, right? Stop making excuses, right? Remember, your will and your desire, your strength has to be stronger than your excuses. And if that means, and I have a whole thing, like I said, I'm going to do the themes over on my YouTube and stuff. And we're going to talk about like how detrimental technology is, TV, distractions, but you're making the excuses, right? And this is the same thing for the closure. I can't move on unless this person takes accountability. Guess what? Was your mom shitty? Maybe. Maybe she was. And maybe she's a little bit of a different person to your sister. Okay. Maybe you feel for the last 45 years of your life that, you just can't fit in there. And you're just waiting for it to change. Number one, that's not closure. That goes into denial, and that goes into attachment, people pleasing, savior complex, all of the above. But what you have to remember is on your self-care journey, you do not need her to take accountability of this. You don't need her to say, I am sorry, this is what I did. Your ego needs that. Your unhealed inner child needs that. That's why you are the parent to that child. You can't wait for her. You can't wait for these people. Now, here's the other side of that. That doesn't mean that she has to have access to you. See, let's say you came to me and you're like, yeah, every time I see my mom, like she's 80 now, and every time I see her, I get so uncomfortable. My immediate question is like, why are you still seeing her? Your mom is not doing that to you anymore. You're doing that to yourself, right? You're doing that to yourself. Now, when you were little, no, you had no control over that. Were you put in a screwed up situation? Yes. Do you have any power? None. Do you now? Yes. Yes, you do. You don't owe it to your 80-year-old mom, and she doesn't need to apologize to you and take accountability. It'll never be enough for you. Because again, she takes accountability. You're thinking, oh, well, thanks, but you could have done that earlier. Like you're just never happy. So what you have to remember is if it is not protecting your peace, if it is not encouraging your growth, you must release it. And that means the need to have closure. Stop holding out wishes and hopes that one day, just one day, they're going to acknowledge it. And that's going to give you a sense of closure. Just one day, the person that broke up with you is going to see you at this restaurant 2 years later, and they're going to come up and be like, man, I'm so sorry I hurt you. No, you don't need that. You are continuously giving people power. That's because you're not working on yourself. You're too worried about looking at everybody else. If I have closure, I'll be happy. If I make more money, I'll be happy. Stop. It's you. So number one, in order to not need that closure is to really accept that it is your responsibility to be here now. Get the resources. This is what I tell people all the time. Because I don't take insurance with my clients. I know a lot of other people like me do not take insurance. Some do, some are not going to anymore. And, the thing is like nobody's a miracle cure, but we will hold you accountable for this journey. If in fact you're ready for it. And that means you're going to have to be really willing to let go of this need to be acknowledged. And if you find yourself getting defensive, right? Like let's say you were never good enough for mom, whatever. And I don't know, now you're a friend or something. You did something for them. They asked you to help them with something. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was cool. I'm going to change this right here because this doesn't, it's okay, but it's not how I'd want it to be. Okay, fine. Well, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why are you getting defensive? See, triggers are always a reward. Stop running from the triggers. That's your inner child going, hey, babe, I need you. We've had this talk. So your inner child does not need the closure from somebody else. Your inner child needs to go, I'm seeing the relationship with this person or how this person is. Is this person conducive to me? You don't need them to take accountability to move on. It's very, very important because you have to understand your thoughts and your emotions shape your reality. Thoughts are not facts. Emotions are not facts, but they do shape your reality. So if you're seeing it, that's the whole concept of if you think people should do what you do. No. Well, I would do this. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, it really doesn't. And so what you have to remember too is that's where you'll get a lot of people who are projecting their insecurities, projecting their unhealed trauma upon you, projecting their fears upon you. And here's the thing too, when you develop this confidence, even though insecurity is loud and confidence is quiet, confidence also says, I am not going to allow this for myself. That's how we set boundaries. I do not allow this behavior, and people will judge that. And people will also judge you when they think they gave you closure, but then you didn't like the closure. Oh my God. It's just the list is endless. So again, it's self-acceptance that this is your job to work through. You do not need them. The more you need them, the more they still have control over you. Okay. Now you must release to receive. You guys know I do mindfulness, meditation, manifestation. There is no scenario on this entire, well, I guess even off the planet, because we're talking about the universe, but there is no scenario on this planet that you can hold on to a grudge, you can hold on to your anger, you can hold on to your, your trauma, and then say, I'm going to receive abundance. No, the universe does not care what you have gone through. It does not reward you because you had a crappy handout to you. But what it does do, and I have a whole theme in one of these months, so you want to stay tuned, hopefully, and so consider subscribing over there because it's going to be over there on manifestation, how you can really work on it. And no, it's not about manifesting Jimmy. No, it's not about manifesting the CEO job at the bank. Nah, that's not manifestation. Okay, that's still from a place of lack, a place of attachment. We'll go into that another time. But you got to release the need to have this closure. You got to release the need to be right. You got to release the need to be acknowledged. You have to release the need to continue to hold on to things if, in fact, you want to receive something positive. That's just how life works. Now, again, you guys know I practice Buddhism. That's kind of like almost like one of the 4 pillars, right? Like release. Things that have happened. It's not going to change, yada, yada, yada. It's very important that you understand that. You cannot hold ill will. You cannot be non-self-disciplined and then think, I'm going to reach my goals this year. I've wrote the list. I've done the micro goals. I'm going to do that. Okay, wait. Are you acting accordingly? Are your actions in alignment with what your goals are? Oh, got to check yourself. So what you have to remember is you must release in order to receive. That is with anything. That is the yin to the yang of energy. And so when you're in that space of releasing, it doesn't mean people cut over on you, babe. That's your ego. Oh, if I let it go, then they win. Really? How's that working for you? Because you're in their prison right now. Oh, you're holding a grudge, right? Okay. You feel like you can't do anything because you're going to hold out. You are going to kind of be manipulative and hold out conversations. You're going to do all that because you're waiting for accountability. Who's quote unquote winning? You're not. You're not even a little bit. You're not protecting your peace. You're in a trap that you set. They didn't even set it. You set this trap and then walked into the trap. So this is why you have to understand it's okay. Let people win. 2 + 2 is 97. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that will come with practice. Now, one of my favorite things is embracing uncertainty. And I promise you have a whole podcast needs to be dedicated on that. That goes into ego, for sure. That goes into insecurity. That goes into control, which we know is ego. Control, ego. So anytime you're thinking control, just ego. I need to be in control, ego. I need to know ego. You know what I mean? So just know what you're dealing with so you understand how to harness it. And I don't care if you embrace uncertainty or not. It's there. Again, the universe isn't going to be like, oh, okay, well, Jeff really doesn't like when things are uncertain. So let's make this a little clearer for him. Nah, that's not how it works. You're never in control of anything other than your mindset. You're not in control of other people. You could make a meticulous plan. You could dot every I, cross every T. Universe doesn't care. Something crazy happens, you better work around it. That's adaptability, which I have something planned for that. You have to understand just because you have a plan doesn't mean it's the plan. And that's the same thing with closure. So you have to embrace the uncertainty. Is this person ever going to be in your life again? Maybe. Are they going to be gone? Maybe. Well, what if I get married and okay, but maybe. See, you have to stop trying to live in the future and stop living in the past, right? One's rumination and one is like, ooh, anxiety, right? You can technically ruminate about both, but really rumination's past. And that's not the art of staying present. And I promise you have a whole thing on mindfulness and staying present. But whether you like it or not, the more you think you're in control, the less you have. So again, going back to this closure thing, if you were like, that's fine. I'm not going to invite them for Christmas. That's okay. They don't even get an invite. Okay. Well, first of all, you're responding out of emotion. So that's never the way to be. And number two, you still think that you're winning something. It's eating you up. You're the one thinking about it. You're the one that's like, calculating. I know what I'll do. I just won't show up for their performance. I don't know. Let's say I'm a singer. And you're like, I usually help her with her audio. No, I'm not going to do that now. Okay. Like you're waiting for this acknowledgement. You're waiting for this like acceptance. You're waiting and you're not doing anything to protect yourself and heal your space. You're not. And you got to be uncertain. Well, is it going to work out? Maybe. Is it not? Maybe. What if it doesn't? What if it does? And if it doesn't, you learn anyway. In this situation, you can't say, well, okay, since I didn't get closure from this relationship about this guy cheating on me or this person cheating on me, how do I know that it isn't going to happen again? You don't. You do not. But I will tell you this, you do not go into a relationship with the idea of like, okay, come on then. All right. I never got closure from this thing. I don't even know why this even happened. I did everything and they never even told me what's up. So I can't trust anybody. Yeah. Do not get in a relationship. And if you're in one, get out. Because then you're carrying your old stuff. So the uncertainty is, will it happen? Maybe. Will it not happen? Maybe. But I will tell you this, that and I've said this to you before, if somebody wants to do something, they will. But if you feel the need to be so certain that this is your forever person, there's no such thing as a forever person. So stop with that, number one. And I have tons of stuff in relationships coming out this upcoming year. But stop. They are your now. And then you go, is this something that I can work with? Yes. Everybody's going to have red flags. Are they the non-negotiables? Then don't stay. If they're workaroundable, fine. But do not worry about the uncertainty. Well, what if this happens and then, this happens and then if my grandmother passes away, then I don't even know. Like, my sister was always a jerk and then my grandmother never took accountability. And what if she never does? Then she doesn't. But don't bank your security, your peace upon another person. Things are largely out of your control. Control is fake. Yeah, sure, you can take actions, but your actions carry consequences. So again, going back to pretend I'm a singer and you do my audio. Okay, you've been my roadie. I think it's what it's called. Yeah, right. I mean, of course it's what it's called. And you decide your feelings got hurt about something. So now you decide I can't roadie tonight. Okay, that's fine. Well, I can't roadie for the next 4 weeks. Okay. Well, I'm going to have somebody else roadie. Don't just think you're just going to walk back in a month, 2 months, 3 months and be like, okay, I'm back. Okay, well, this job is no longer yours. Oh, well, I mean, I was only gone. Consequences. Actions, consequences. Okay, so I just need you to understand it because the more that you try to control it, the more that you try to sit in it, the harder it is going to be for you to understand that things largely are what they are and they're largely out of your control. And that being a person has every right to respond or not respond the way they see fit. And you have every right to decide, are they going to be in my life? And you have every right to say, am I going to just accept that I'm never going to get the answer I want? If the answer to that is no, then you will stay stuck. You won't go into 2024. You probably haven't even left 1993. Very, very important because everything's uncertain. Life is uncertain. You're uncertain. And that's the living in the present, right? The next one is living in the present. They kind of go hand in hand, right? And you're here now. I'm glad that you have goals. I'm glad that you have dreams. But you better appreciate where you are now. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Where you are right now is teaching you, okay, it's not teaching you. It's showing you, okay, these are the things that's worked. Let's celebrate them. These are the things that, you know what, in the past, I'm here now because of these actions 20 years ago, whatever. Well, I'm not going to beat myself up about these 20-year ago things. Oh, if I would have done things different. You didn't. Things would not, it's not. See, the moment you start doing that and you go back to, well, why didn't I do this? Why didn't they do this? They didn't. You didn't. Period. It would have been so much better. You do not know that. It would have been different. You don't know it would have been better. So if you're ruminating on that and going, well, but I don't understand why they couldn't have done this. They didn't. And that's acceptance. Okay. So staying in the present is all you got. Anxiety is like a rocking chair, like anxiety, well, that too. Worry is like a rocking chair. You're doing something, but you ain't going anywhere. And you're wasting the energy, to go back to the one I said before, release the need for control, release the need for answers, cause and effect, right? So let's say you were holding out the grandkids. I don't know. You're holding out grandkids because your mom did something and then da-da-da-da-da. Okay. And then later on down the road, she's kind of not a part of anybody's life. And you go, I can't believe she's doing this. You cause and effect. You created a situation. They created the consequence. That's how life works. You can't hold people, quote unquote, energetically hostage. Oh, if I don't do this, they need me. Everybody's replaceable. You're replaceable. I'm replaceable. Every human is replaceable. Now, they might not be you. You know, we're all both unique and incredible and amazing and irrelevant. All of us. You're irrelevant. I'm irrelevant. But yet we're awesome. But that's why you have to be really careful of maybe your actions on, I'm going to manipulate the situation for them to give me the closure, for them to take accountability. Ooh, it does not work that way. And you're creating a lot of expectations for yourself. You're creating a lot of hurt for yourself. And, you know, that's where the radical positivity comes in. See, you attract what you surround your mind with. Okay. So I'm not asking you to be like toxically positive or it's like, oh my God, everything's amazing. No, I didn't say that. But you better realize that you can say, okay, it's a mindset switch. All right. Well, you could either say, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I did this. You know, instead of that, you go, okay, well, I did do these things. What did I learn from them? Was I impulsive? Did I make impulsive decisions? Okay. Well, what did I gain from it? I might have gained a few things from it. Great. Everything isn't all bad. Stop villainizing things. Everything is not black and white. There's like 90 million shades of gray. Some things are a little bit darker. Some things are a little bit lighter. But if you're not radically positive, okay, to be like, okay, this happened. What did I get from it? That's not toxic positivity. That's a mindset shift. Okay, well, this person may never, ever, ever say the things that I want them to say. Yeah, it's okay. They don't have to. You know, and you have to understand that every human being is walking around in a frequency. Every human being, everything with energy is in a frequency. If you vibrate low, you get low vibrating things and people. That is how vibrations work. That is how universal energy works. To vibrate high is to do things to be kind, to be a very, very kind human being, zero expectations. And you know, it's funny, and I'll give you an idea of that. So I was doing my live the other day, and my friend Stacy for my birthday, for Christmas, got me a really nice bottle of Camus wine. It's my favorite wine. It's like $100 and some bottle of wine. And my bestie's coming in. I don't know if I'm having any drinks right now because I'm like trying to get over this flu that I didn't know I had, but the flu shot helped me not feel the symptoms that my son has. May or may not. At some point I will. And it was funny. The person on the live is like, oh, well, you should invite her over. And I'm like, well, it's my wine now. She gave it to me and I'm drinking it with my best friend. It was almost like she was like, well, she gave it to you. She should be there. And I had to check that. Like, why? Then don't give me the wine. If you're giving me the wine to think I'm going to invite you over, then don't give me the wine. You know what I mean? So I kind of explained that to that person. And sometimes that might be you. You might be saying, well, I would like to, listen, I'm going to give them a trip to the Bahamas. Maybe they'll take me. What? Just say, hey, I want to go to the Bahamas. You want to come with me? Let's go on a trip together. That's fine. But don't be all weird and like, manipulative and changing things. You can't do that. Okay. And it's very, very important that you understand that being a kind human being requires zero payback. Zero. Now, don't say people taking advantage of you. You allow that behavior, and that could be looking for closure. If I'm nice to this person will give me the closure, will give me the acceptance that I always looked for. That will be closure enough. No, that is attachment. Okay. Do not get those things mixed up. But let me tell you, a person who is gone out of your life, whether they're alive, whether they're past, a situation that has happened is done. But it's for you to heal it. Nobody's saying that it didn't exist. It absolutely exists. Did it create trauma? Yes. Do you have problems for it? Yes. Who's in control of working through that? You are. You are. Do not give these people any more control over you. And that's how you go into 2024. So while you may not be able to do that, I'm releasing this on New Year's Eve. You may not be able to do that like in 5 minutes. You can work on that through 2024. And I understand you fall in love with the idea of, but it's my mom, it's my sister, it's my spouse. Go ahead and keep holding on to that. You're going to keep chasing that. We're going to have the same conversation. I'll be like, okay, girls and guys, we're going into 2019 or 2019. That's far. 2090. And here you go. You're still wondering why mom is the way she is. Accept people for who they are. If they show you who they are, accept it. If people forgive you, they do not have to allow access to you. Vice versa. You can forgive people. You can, hey, I don't need that closure, but you don't need to give them access to you. Cause and effect. So you guys, going into 2024, don't bring people's old stuff with you. You're just carrying them around like they're baggage, like dead energy. You don't want to do that because it's preventing you from having abundance. Your ego doesn't need to be to be stroked that much, I promise. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to jump over to Patreon. We're going to talk more about some things that you can work on, give you some directions on how to do that. And let's make this 2024 year your best year thus far. Never your best year in your life, but thus far, because we want to make you a priority for yourself. We want you to know that you don't need anybody else's validation. We want you to know that validation of self is plenty. We want you to make those small goals. We want you to celebrate things like that. This is your year of that. And guess what? Sometimes that means some of the people in your life may gotta go. And be aware that might be you gotta go too if you're not on somebody else's path. That's how beautiful life works. But I want you to remember, you must release to receive. And my loves, you deserve to receive as much abundance as you can obtain.